Welcome to Thursday edition of Take 5, where we're taking about 5 minutes, although last time I took almost 7, to look at the 10 commandments and what they meant, what they mean, how they apply. And on Tuesday we started, honor your father and your mother that you may live long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. And I had you do an assignment. Did you contact one of your parents? If you could, and do something to honor them. Remember, Calvin told us that honor has 3 layers to it: reverence, obedience, and gratefulness. One of those things. You could have even just written a thank you note, but it's so important to do that. So we're going to continue. Then we're going to do 3 shows, because the next show, most of us are probably have parents that are elderly, or at least somewhat older. We're not 9-year-olds is what I'm trying to say. And so I want us to look at what does that mean for adults, which, let's face it, it was originally written to adults. The 10 Commandments were. How do we apply that as opposed to just oftentimes we think of the 10 Commandments, especially this 5th one, and we apply it to our Sunday school and to our 9-year-olds. And it does apply to them, but it applies to us as well. Sorry, I've been going too long. I'm a big Bruce Springsteen fan. And I'll start with him. Here's what he says. Springsteen says, "We honor our parents by carrying their best forward and laying the rest down, by fighting and taming the demons that laid them low and now reside in us." I think that's a good statement. One of the ways we honor our parents, see, we quote John Calvin on Take 5, and we quote Bruce Springsteen, and Lennon McCartney I'm sure will show up sooner or later as well. But I think what he's saying, we honor our parents by carrying their best forward. What did we learn from our moms and dads? What is the best that they gave us? And the tendency would also be to then dwell on the negativity from our parents. And sometimes it does carry forward, and it creates extreme dysfunction in us. But Springsteen is saying, leave it behind. Do our best to tame the demons that we got from our parents and go forward in a good way. And I think that's a really good statement. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. Honor your father and your mother. One of the things I want to bring out regarding obeying our parents or not obeying our parents, 2 things we're going to look at today. The promise at the end of this, which is that you may live long in the land. What's that? But before that, as we think of obeying, not obeying, the Apostle Paul in Romans chapter 1 talks about disobedience to parents being a symptom of personal waywardness and a symptom of social disintegration. What? Yeah. If you remember, Romans chapter 1, toward the end of that, he talks about how the world is in a heap of trouble because they've disobeyed their God. And one of the symptoms, he talks about idolatry. He even talks about disgraceful passions, in a passage that some people love to quote and point at a particular population in our society, when it talks about women exchange their natural passions and sexual relations, men with men, women for women, and okay, we love to point that out. What we don't like to point out is other things in the list then that he says that are, in a sense, symptoms of waywardness personally and socially. He talks about God giving all of that over to a corrupt mind. We're filled with unrighteousness. So then he has, here's that list: evil, greed, wickedness, gossiping, envy, murder, got that, slandering, God haters. Wow, this is an awful list. Proud, boastful, disobedient to parents. What? Yeah. What he's talking about is a society that's gone bad goes from natural to unnatural. That's our sin nature. We go toward the unnatural. And so the unnatural is murder. The unnatural is even in the sexual areas. The unnatural is speaking untruth or gossiping. The unnatural is disobeying parents. In a natural world where sin didn't exist, all of the we would be obeying our parents. We would be living life of truth. We wouldn't be gossiping. We would be loving and not murdering. And all of our sexual mores would be as pure as can be. But the world that we live in now, that is under God's judgment, that is under the oppression of sin, is all of these things, including being disobedient to parents. That's all of us. That's your kids too. The command also has a promise, and I'll end with this, that you may live long in the land. Remember, he's writing it to the children of Israel as they're about to take the land of Canaan as their own. If you obey your mother and father, you may live long in the land that the Lord your God is giving you. What's the promise? Well, the promise is almost like a proverb that is generally true. An individual or a society that honors and respects their parents, let's use it as an individual that respects his parents, it's going to go well for your life. You're going to live well. And ideally, you'll live long. Again, promise, maybe, but it's more of a general principle. If you want it to go well for you and your society, there will be order. And part of the order is child to parent. And it will go well with your life, you and your life, if you obey your parents. Okay, I'm done with that for now. We're going to do one more on obeying your parents. And boy, I'm getting consistent. This is 7 on 10 as we take 7 minutes to talk about honoring your father and your mother. I'll see you next time. And then we're going to drop that subject and go on to the next command. See you Tuesday. I'm out.